Sound
Bring it
rolling.
Marker.
Hi, Bill.
Hey,
I'm Paulo.
Paulo, nice to meet you.
Good to meet you. You were expecting Adam, my prior CEO. He has the 18-year domain experience. I come from Wall Street, finance strategy, operations background on the Hill. We can start with a 30-second pitch.
Great.
Paulo Cutillo, co-founder and CEO of Augbat, Augmented Reality for Education. Our company is very simple. We believe that student engagement is critical to positive learning outcomes. The problem is students are bored. How do you take that boredom out of the classroom? We use augmented reality to simply breathe life back into that student curriculum, make it exciting for them. This resonates to your visual learners, your kinesthetic and experiential learners. We have over 1.4 million students have downloaded our app. We've augmented textbooks for the Texas School for the Deaf. We've aligned ourselves with a national assessment company to use AR as a diagnostic tool.
Who's the assessment company?
Let's Go Learn. 2 million user base. We're projecting a very conservative 10% integration to that user base.
And what's the nature of your alliance?
Language arts and math. We use video and 3D augmented reality to emphasize learning efficiencies. That's the kind of 30-second pitch, and I could certainly show you what this looks like.
Tell me what the product does. I mean, I
Absolutely.
totally agree with you that the big issue in school is engagement.
Absolutely.
But how to do that is the really question.
Big question is, what is engagement? We believe that our technologies give our students, our learners, that immersive experience to kind of, connect content to learning, bring it together. What that does, what we're finding is that students are learning faster, more efficient, quicker. So I'm gonna, just for data purposes, I'm gonna give you our app here, iOS and Android. And this is a trigger image, a 2D image of the brain. And if you could imagine putting yourself in the seat of like a student, RN student looking to pass a board or exam.
So what level are you targeting?
Our strength right now is K through 8. All Common Core and STEM.
And it's K through 8, ELA, and math?
That's correct, yes.
And so I get an app, so I hit demo.
We'll start with.
I'm sorry.
No problem. We'll use the start button. We'll use the camera behind here. And press start.
So the way it works, you put it over like a textbook or something.
That's correct, yes.
And then it just sort of augments the visual in the textbook.
It does, yes. It gives that immersive experience. And if you kind of pull back, you can see the whole brain.
And do you have any exercises with them, or is it mainly it's just more visual? It's making the static image, sort of 3D.
We align a lot of our trigger images with activity sheets, with questionnaires, and it's a lot of teacher direction as well.
What's involved in doing this? I mean, what are the costs for you? And so if you just talk me through a little bit of that.
Sure. On our B2B model, as mentioned, we augmented 2 textbooks for the Texas School for the Deaf. That was.
So you have to. My question is, you have a textbook. You basically have to do some work by textbook, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
And we have our own content library as well.
And do you have? And what's the cost of it? Say if you wanted to augment a elementary science textbook that's in wide use.
That, going back to the example, that was a $20,000 contract, 2 textbooks. If there's existing content in our library, that cost obviously goes down significantly if we already have it.
Right. And then what's the relationship, what kind of permissions? You have to get an agreement with a textbook provider to do this, right?
Yes.
And
ultimately, at the end, we will own the images, and we'll be able to license those out.
And then when you make a deal with a textbook provider, do they then they go out and sell that as part of their offering with the textbook, and you've been basically paid the 20,000, and then you get to sell like B2C images, or do you get the $5 per student? How does that work?
The $5 a student is going directly to school. So teachers actually buy these licenses.
But are they buying those licenses through the textbook provider?
No, they buy directly through us.
So they'll buy the textbook
Or
and then separately buy a $5 license? Is that
Well, their
how it
textbook is separate from that $5 model.
I understand that, yeah.
Okay, so the $5 would be, so I'm a teacher, I would go to OGBAT and say, I have 30 students, I need to buy $5 a license there. That buys a 12-month subscription to our whole library of AR content. The textbook play is more our B2B, where we position ourselves as a simple service provider. We augment their existing content.
Yeah, and do you have evidence yet or feedback on to what extent people would like just sort of your pure content library, or they really want the augmented reality tied to the curriculum they've adopted?
Are we talking about like efficacy studies or?
No, if I'm a teacher, right? I have lesson plans, I have a curriculum, I have standards I have to meet. There's a whole sort of apparatus, and so if I want those figures augmented, I'd want the figures in general augmented that I'm teaching from.
Right.
Not a library I don't know.
Sure.
Because
sure.
your teachers, incredibly busy. They don't want to make mistakes. They have to follow the standards. So searching libraries for them is just added work. Some will do it, and especially for like supplemental type of things, they'll do
Absolutely.
it. But
We try to make it as simple as possible for the teachers, where our library is cut into different courses: math, language arts, science, STEM, higher education, etc. We do have a program that teachers come to us for a curated content, request. We find that it's unscalable because we have to talk with one individual teacher at a time. Most of our feedback is that these teachers are happy with our existing content. If there's something large enough to do, we'll do it a la carte, if that makes sense. But directly to teacher, I don't believe it's sustainable as far as our.
no, I don't either. No, my question is, if you're going to, one way to go to market would be to work out arrangements with publishers who have the sales force and have the content.
Right.
And say, you can sell more of your textbooks if, in addition, you're offering this augmented reality that makes it come alive.
Right. Right.
And you piggyback off of their sales force, and the teacher gets, when they buy the textbook, they're not just buying the textbook, they're buying this.
Exactly. Yes.
And then you have to obviously work out business terms with the publisher, but it's a much more efficient way. The other way to do it is you have your own sales operation,
Right.
and you go to the teacher and say, okay, we've got something that can augment this, and now you have all those selling costs, and you may have content that is aligned with what they're doing, or you may not. So my question is your business strategy more to go through publishers or to go through your own sales channel?
I believe just being a service provider, content distributor would be the most efficient as far as scaling and go to market, where we don't necessarily have to do customer relations one-on-one. Like you said, we'll piggyback on that publisher or content provider's existing operations to keep that relationship going.
Have you talked to any of the publishers yet?
We have.
And
no real traction just yet. We have.
And what are they telling you? Is it that you're not finding the right people to talk to, or they're saying, hey, we can do this ourselves?
Well, the problem with your large publishers, which you could count on one hand, it's sometimes too big to move on something like this. We do have a few meetings with some small to medium-sized publishers in the K through 12, K through 8 specifically.
So who have you talked with?
I lost memory. I could get that to you very soon.
Okay. Tell me a
Yeah.
little bit about your team. So you came from Wall Street.
Yes.
You said Adam has 18 years of domain experience.
Yes, he's a superintendent at New Jersey Public Schools.
He is now, or
He still is, yes, yes. And I hate that he missed this meeting.
it's fine. It's got kids to take care of.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
And then what was your job in Wall Street? What's your background? What's
So
your
I came from Morgan Stanley. Had a hedge fund. I traded energy derivatives in Chicago, New York, and Washington.
So you were a trader. Okay.
Yes, and then I consulted with the former deputy chief of staff under the first Obama administration on the Hill. Got involved in technology.
Deputy chief of staff for which group organization?
I believe it was public administration. It's been a while. His name is Mo.
So you were a consultant for him, or
I was. We did a lot of small business procurement, GovCon, which is.
So this was after Morgan Stanley.
That's correct. Yes.
And were you working for a consulting firm, or?
For his firm.
Oh, his firm.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
got it. Okay,
yes.
okay.
Made a pivot into technology and EdTech 2 years ago. That's how Adam and I met. We quickly saw synergies and we said we should do something together.
So are you basically the technologist behind all of this, and is that your role?
We have a development team and a CTO, but Adam is the academic and you could say the technologist as well.
Okay.
And I add on as much as I can as well.
Okay. So is and who's doing the business development?
We both are.
Okay.
We have a team of about 30 ambassadors from all over the world. We're in 392 schools, 14 different countries.
Now, you're in 392 schools now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a freemium model, so that's basically teachers who have found the product somehow, right?
Yes.
And your goal is then to convert those teachers and schools into a $5 per student fee that the school will actually pay. Am I following the business model correctly?
Yes, and we're for right now in the last week and a half, we're pushing back on that B2C model directly to schools. We know that the sales cycle is very cumbersome and it takes a while to get done. So
I've left it, yeah.
Right. So as of a week and a half, we're experimenting and focusing on our B2B play, where we're getting in front of publishers and content providers because they're the experts of their content themselves. We'll use our domain experience and technology to basically just augment their existing platform.
Okay. Well, that makes sense to me. That's why I go back to my earlier question.
Yeah.
So that the goal now is basically work through publishers. They'll get the sale, and they'll pay you some kind of commission or royalty for the use of your technologies. Would that be the strategy?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And to what extent are publishers and other companies doing this, and what's your competitive advantage? I mean, this is something that other people could do. What do you see as your competitive advantage?
I think when looking at our competitors like Dacry or Asma, there's a number of few. They use AR for entertainment and gamification. We're the only AR company that uses AR to align with student outcomes. We align it with the lesson plans and curriculum.
And how do you align with lesson plans? I mean, can you explain? Can you
Sure.
explain a little
So
bit? I guess we got like 5 minutes.
Yeah. So with a lot of we have 1,500 3D pieces. We have 2,000 separate activity sheets where it's a questionnaire. Basically, it's almost like a exam prep or test prep. It's aligning what are you seeing in this brain? Where is
So for each of your images, you have an activity sheet,
yes.
which is basically a set of questions that the teacher could ask and the student could answer on their own. Am I understanding that correctly?
Absolutely, yes.
And that's all delivered digitally through the app?
It is, and the great thing about the delivery portion of it is that, let's say, a student forgets what he learned at 3 p.m. What did Ms. Anderson say about the human brain? they could take our app, take the content and download it from our platform online and revisit that curriculum and see it right on their tablet or phone.
And then for this to work, obviously the students need to have some kind of an iPhone or an iPad or something.
We're on iOS or Android tablets.
Yeah,
We're looking
yeah.
to get into the Chromebooks as well.
So you're not in Chrome now.
Not yet. The problem is Chromebooks only have a frontward-facing camera, and so we need.
So you can't do it with Chrome, yeah.
Not yet.
And Chrome is really now starting to overtake Apple by a lot in the K-12 area.
That's right.
Are they saying when they can have that functionality so you could do something like this?
Probably in the next 6 to 12 months, we'll be able to integrate there.
So basically, you are really your real total addressable market is really schools that are using that have got a one-to-one program with Apple, basically.
And Android as well. I mean,
Yeah.
we know that there's 50 million students in K through 12 public schools. That TAM is really focused on our B2C, which we're kind of putting aside.
Yeah.
And obviously still.
Yeah, I'm
kind
trying
of-
to get the real TAM. I mean,
Right.
the real TAM would be where schools has tablets for the students, where it's either iOS or Android.
Right.
And then where you have enough relationships with publishers so that the publishers that have the greatest market share are carrying your feature, your app.
I need to figure that TAM out. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what are some of the areas you think you need some help?
I think more to our go-to-market strategies while we're looking to validate and doing these experiments to veer to the B2B route, because we are knocking on doors. We have things in the pipeline. It'd be great for us to know what these large publishers are looking for as far as getting on their platforms.
Yeah, what they're looking for is more sales. And more profits.
Yeah.
So it's all about whether or not they believe this could really help them sell more textbooks and give them a competitive advantage.
Right.
So if you have something that they think is really great, one of them might want to go in an exclusive relationship, right? And that gives them an advantage. And then it's just all about the deal terms. I doubt they would pay you. I'm positive they wouldn't pay you $5 a student. I used to run the biggest company, Pearson, but they might pay you, maybe $1 or $2 a student, and maybe you could then develop other types of applications for them, and maybe the exit down the line is you get bought by one of those companies. It starts as a partnership, and then you get bought. But I agree with you that trying to go in to the school market on your own is really, really hard.
Right.
The sales cycles are long. It's the reason why you only have a few big publishers.
That's right.
The distribution challenges are pretty considerable. But they need help in terms of the technology, and as you said, they're big. Sometimes they're slow moving.
Right.
So-
Also, one more thing. We're on a marketplace like Teachers Pay Teachers. We've had 2,000 downloads last month. I'm looking to exceed that this month. What kind of things next steps could we do to knock on like a Noodle Market's door to get on that marketplace platform?
Well, I'm on the board of Noodle, so I could help you there. Anyone can join the Noodle marketplace. You just have to sign up.
Okay.
And that one of the things that we're trying to do with Noodle Markets is, open up distribution for smaller players. That's easy to do. I can send you. I can let the CEO know that you're interested, and someone get in touch with you.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
And then if you need, I'm actually meeting the president of Pearson's. Somebody used to work for me. Product group. Actually, later today. I'll ask him what they're doing, and maybe they would like to take a look at it. Have you talked to anyone at Pearson yet?
Long ago,
Okay.
before we were this mature.
Okay.
I think it's time to knock on those doors again.
Yeah, okay.
I love those introductions. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, enjoyed meeting you.
Yeah, thank you again.
Okay.
Great insight. Enjoy the rest of the mentoring day.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. All right, let's cut.